Hey there, how are you? This is an introduction video for my full course on how to become an entrepreneur. I'm going to give you a lot in this video. It's going to be jam-packed with really just the things you need to know. I mean, who am I? For the last few years, I've been running a business that helps, a successful business now, that helps entrepreneurs start their businesses. My business has impacted well over 1 million entrepreneurs worldwide. That's a funny way to say worldwide. I mean, everybody's a worldwide right now because it's the web. But nevertheless, I mean, there's somewhere between 1 and 2 million people that my business has touched. 1 and 2 million entrepreneurs, and I deal with entrepreneurs all the time. I create products for them. I talk to them. I am one, and I felt like I was the perfect person to create a course like that. And in this video, this is not the full video, this is not the full course, but it will have a lot. I really put about maybe 40 to 50% of the course in here so that if you decide to buy the course, there's still value in case you want to pay. I'll have the link in the discounted link in the description of this video. But if you don't want to pay for the full course, I wanted to make sure that you still get a lot of value from this video. So I'll stop yapping now and I'll get right to the meat and potatoes. How to become an entrepreneur. Here we go. So first thing is first, right? You can't go anywhere. You can't do anything without your brain, right? Your psychology, it's something that's with you 100% of the time, right? Marketing skills, you can outsource it. You can learn it. You don't always use it. Business skills, management skills, same thing. I mean, more or less, right? But your brain, your mindset, that's with you all the time. It affects every single itty-bitty detail of your business. And let's cover the major sort of psychological sort of nuances that all entrepreneurs face, and that some of them are better at than others, but you have to be certainly aware of them. So even before you start, well before you start, right, it's your how do you approach your business, right? Are you saying things like, well, I haven't started because I don't have enough money. Well, I haven't started because I don't have the right support. My family, my spouse, whoever doesn't help me. I don't have good, advisors. I don't have this. I don't have an office. I don't have the time. I have to work, so I'm tired. Excuses. What a real entrepreneur thinks is completely different, right? Not excuses. How do I solve the problem that I don't have time? How do I solve the problem that I maybe don't have money, right? How do I make things cheaper so that I don't need money? How do I solve this problem? Solve this problem? Because all entrepreneurship is problem solving, and if you can't solve the problems right around the corner, I don't care if you get money, I don't care if you get support, if you cannot solve problems, or at least if you don't, anyone can solve problems, but if you don't have the mindset to solve problems, to tackle challenges, it doesn't matter what problems you face. You might get help let's say you get money, right? Okay, that challenge has been fixed, but tomorrow you'll have 20 more challenges, and you're not gonna get help on all of them. So you are the one who's got to be the problem-solving brain. And that requires a positive sort of approach, creative and positive. Not, I can't because XYZ, or maybe this way, maybe that way. I'll try another strategy, I'll try this, I'll try that. Consistent creativity, consistent going around the challenges. That's what's going to get you there. The next thing is your ego, right? Because as you're working and as you are kind of paving your own way and making things happen, you're going to feel kind of smart about yourself. And if you start to get publicity and have any kind of success, people are going to start telling you, oh my God, you're so successful, you're so smart. And by the way, you're going to have to get feedback, right? Sometimes when you get feedback from clients won't be that nice to you. They'll be mean to you. Your product sucks, I paid money, blah, 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 blah. It's not perfect, this and that, whatever. With clients, it never ends, right? Most clients are great, but there are some clients, it's like you'll hear all of it by the time it's over, right? You'll hear the gamut. Even if your product is amazing, you'll still hear very bad feedback. And what does it have to do with ego? What it has to do with ego is that you can't let yourself think you're too smart, can't like have this concept of yourself that you're infallible, that you can't listen to negative feedback either, right? You gotta stay even, right? Somebody says, it's like professional, right? Somebody says you're smart, you're great, whatever, whatever. You say thank you, but I'm still learning, I still have a long way to go, because that's true. On the same token, if somebody says your product sucks, you're an idiot, blah 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 blah, whatever, you know, I want my money back. Okay, here's your money back. I'm sorry you had such a bad time with our product. How can we make it better? I hope you have a good day. No ego, right? Because it's professional, you know. When if you're a real professional, you don't let yourself lose your cool, right? This is one of the signs of a real professional. And it's like actually, that's at work. That's if you're a CEO of a company, if you're an entrepreneur. That's even if you're an athlete, right? Like, you know, a lot of coaches, professional coaches, they talk about the quality of a player. It's not just if they can play the game. It's, are they professional? Do they carry themselves professionally, right? So if a fan says, like, oh my God, you suck, right? Is this player going to charge the stands and beat up the player? Most of them don't, right? And the players who do, they're typically troublemakers, and nobody really wants to work with them. Because, you know, nobody wants to hire them because they know that a few games out of the year, this person's going to act up, and that's going to cost you money, that's going to cause you to lose games, things like that. Same thing with business. Professional, 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 always calm, and keep your ego in check, right? You're not that smart to get feedback, so anyway, be kind of cool about it. Easy going is best. Now, what all entrepreneurs have to do is deal with stress and anxiety, and I'll talk about this a little bit later as well. But you certainly want to keep that in check as well. When you first start, things are going to be very stressful. As you grow your business, stress is going to decrease probably slightly, because you'll still always have problems and challenges to solve and things like that, but they won't be as severe typically. Like, for example, let's say you're starting a business. Well, there's no revenue. You got rent to pay, right? No revenue, no product, no nothing, right? That's like the worst place where you can be. It can get worse than that, right? And then, so every time, you know, and as you go, you kind of build on your business, and you grow little by little, and then the next challenges, yeah, they're difficult, but it's never as bad as no revenue, no product, no team, no nothing, right? So in the beginning, it's the most stressful, and by the way, you know, you have no idea if anything is going to work out, right? So in the beginning is the most stressful. It gets better slowly and slightly. It's never going to be stress-free. It does get better, especially if you find success. It gets quite a bit better. But what happens is the stress causes you bad health, right? We'll get a little bit into that. The stress causes you anxiety, right? Because if you make business decisions out of stress and anxiety, they're going to be wrong decisions, right? Because let's say you don't have money, right? So you need to make revenue right away. So instead of like doing something, you know, with quality, doing something with care, you know, maybe having a long-term outlook, you kind of have a short-term outlook, because how can I make money today, right? It's like this, how do I make money today? Today, right? And, you know, that usually does not, or sometimes it does not coincide with the best decision, right? The best short-term decision isn't always the best long-term decision. And sometimes when you have stress and anxiety, that, you know, it causes you to take the less good option. So you got to be really watching your mind and making sure when you have a difficult business decision, that you're not making it out of stress and anxiety, out of the negative psychological kind of factors, but you're making a decision out of reasonable logic, and after having considered it for long enough, after having gotten advice from good people, things like that, that you've given yourself enough time to rationally think about it without getting stressed out. Because when you get stressed out, it's hard to think. The next thing is, you know, I've already alluded to, you know, maybe your customers not being as nice to you, especially if your product is new. Your customers probably won't love the product because it's going to have flaws, right? Because it's new. It's only going to get better. It's only going to get better over time. And in the beginning, customers won't buy it, right? at least not at the rate at which you want. People won't help you promote it because it's just not going to make them look that great because it's too new, it's unproven, all these things. It's going to be hard to sell. It's going to be hard to build a team. It's going to be hard to get investors. Okay, that's all failure, right? It's every day you're going to be dealing with failure. Not final failure, just enough failure that you have to figure out how to solve it and get past those hurdles. But certainly you'll get a lot of no's, from investors, clients, potential business partners, whoever. You gotta have a thick skin, or if you don't now, you should kind of try to develop it. There's no way around it. I mean, part of having thick skin is realizing that it's not so bad. Like, who cares? This client said no, I have a million others I can try. Or, you know, this investor says no, I have a million others that I can go to. And this brings me to this concept of abundance mentality, right? If you think like, this is the only investor that can ever invest, and because of this investor my business can grow or fail, of course that's going to make you so anxious because everything hangs on that investor. But you should value yourself a little more, right? Say, hey, if this guy doesn't want it, I'll build it, and many investors will jump on it eventually. No problem. Then when you're at the bargaining table, you're not bargaining out of a position of weakness. You're demanding respect for yourself, and you know, if you get rejected, no problem. Because it is no problem, you'll get there. The rejection happens all the time. Can't dwell on it. You just gotta move forward. And that's why, you know, abundance mentality, another one will come along, another client will come along, another investor will come along, another business partner will come along. That just wasn't the fit. Gotta keep hacking away and trying. So you're seeing a theme here. You just gotta keep hacking away and trying, right? That's one of the keys to success. Another thing that people face is they don't always understand how much work is going to go into growing a business, right? To be a real entrepreneur, you have to work more time than there is waking and sleeping time. I mean, especially in the beginning, all your focus, all your energy is going to have to go into this. There's a lot of people who say, I would want to start a business, it's my dream, but they don't lift a finger, right? Or they work like 1 or 2 hours and they watch TV. No, this has to be your life. I mean, especially in the beginning. Especially in the beginning, you got to be crazy, like obsessive almost. Because you got to work, wake up, work during the day, go to sleep, work, right? Like work. Especially in the beginning, as your business grows, it's going to ease. These things will ease, and you have to work less because you're going to drive yourself crazy if you do this long term. But in the beginning and long term, in the beginning you have to work very hard. Long term, you'll be able to take your foot off the gas a little bit on that, but never too much, right? Because you still have to work a lot. Unless your business grows successful, then you can delegate a lot of stuff. But still, most people who are successful, they spend a lot of time on the project which they want to be successful in. So be really prepared for hard work, and later I'll talk about, you know, how to make it easier for yourself to get into the habits of working hard, and, you know, break the neck with break the kind of procrastination cycles and things like that. One thing that I also want to mention in psychology, and you know, you want to have trust, right? Only work with people who you trust, because it's kind of a negative environment if you work with people who you don't know if you can trust them. Make them so you can make them sign all kinds of documents you want, but if ultimately you don't feel like you can trust them, it's a negative work environment. I think it's better to only work with people who you feel like you can trust, you feel you have good rapport with, you have good kind of chemistry with, and that make you feel better about yourself and your work, and really support you and make you better. Right? That's the kind of people you want to work with, and you certainly don't want to work with people who don't do that or do opposite. And of course, you want to always be motivated. Now, it's a little funny because if you're an entrepreneur and you're not motivated, something's wrong, right? You got to be like incredibly motivated. That's what one of the things that's going to get you to success. So I don't really like when people ask how to stay motivated, because I mean, you should be intrinsically motivated. But what helps me sometimes to stay on track is just maintaining to-do lists. It might seem simple, even low-tech, although if you want to go high-tech, there are apps for this. But you want to maintain to-do lists because they keep you organized, they keep you on track, task-oriented, and it's just easy to cross things off, and you kind of build momentum. And when you build momentum, you get a little bit of like this endorphins, and the nice chemicals get released in your brains, make you happy, and then you feel good about your business and you're moving forward. So that's a little tip to just kind of help you stay motivated. I want to talk about your health, because many people, when they start to become, start working in their business, like I already mentioned, you have to work a lot. Okay, so what happens? They eat at their desk, and they eat like this. They go to the computer and they just, right? That's not a healthy way to eat. Then what happens? They sit all day. That's not a healthy way to exist. Then they neglect exercise. That's terrible, because exercise makes your brain work better. It makes you mentally healthier. It actually keeps your body healthy, because without a healthy mind, without a healthy body, it's going to be hard to create a good business, right? I mean, you need these are your tools, and you need to really keep them well honed, right? So you've got to take care to eat well, right? Be mindful of your food. Don't stress eat. Do what you can not to stress eat, because if you stress eat and you're sitting all day stressful, you can never exercise all that weight off. Like, you'll have to run 1,000,000 miles to burn if you just stress eat all the time. If you just sit at the computer and stress eat, there's no amount of exercise you can do to burn that off. I mean, it's crazy amount that you have to. So you don't want to stress eat. You want to eat, when you do eat, you want to eat healthy food, fruits, vegetables. Now, I'm not a nutritionist. I'm just giving you the good practices, because entrepreneurship is a long-term thing. I always think like, oh, if I just finish this, things will be great. If I just finish that, no. I thought that like 3 years ago, that if I just did this, and if I work hard this week, I'll be done with this, things will be good. But it's never like that. There's always more work, so you've got to pace yourself, and you've got to fill in time for exercise, time, to be mindful of your food and your diet, figure out how to not stress eat. And certainly part of your health is your relationships, because you've got to spend time with people, real people, not just your work. And you got to pencil that in, and when you do that, phone has to go far, right? Because your attention can be on the work. You can be present with people, but your mind is on the work. You got to be present with people, and your mind is on the people. So phone, preferably off or far away or silent, or not checking the phone, not checking work emails and things like that. So that's kind of the health component of it. A lot of entrepreneurs, and there's a famous investor, very well-known investor, Mark Suster. He talks a lot about how when he was growing his business, when he was an entrepreneur, how he became so unhealthy. He gained weight. He had like chest pains. Like he was close. Like I think I listened to his interview, and he was talking about how he almost had a heart attack. He felt like at times when things were really stressful. Do you really want that? Is a business, is any amount of money really worth that? I mean, not really. No. If you get a heart attack, then your business won't succeed either, right? So anyway, be mindful of your health, because being healthy will help you be an entrepreneur long term. And this is the same with, even as you're working, right? Get up to take breaks, stretch, because you're sitting all day is terrible for your body, it's terrible for your back. You're going to develop back problems, right? So your posture has to be good. You've got to like work on your I don't want to get into like all these health and fitness things, but sit up straight so that you're supported by your back and your core, so that it remains strong, so that you don't have back problems later on, especially if you're a young person. Things like that. Your vision, you should take care of, make sure that you're always staring at the computer, so make sure that your vision doesn't go all bad. Just do all the good practice things. Also, some people develop like carpal tunnel syndrome if they type too much. It's just good posture, eat well, exercise, maintain a normal good weight. It's going to really help you, because and people And people are superficial, right? You know, if you let yourself get kind of out of shape, it will be very noticeable in your appearance, and you'll actually notice that it will be harder to do business. As unfair as that may be, you know, attractive people, they tend to do better. So just keep in shape. Anyway, that's enough about health. Let's move on. I want to talk about hard work and why people don't work hard. Okay, so I mean, I've been dealing with this for a while. I mean, as I mentioned earlier, my business has kind of touched over 1 million entrepreneurs. I know how entrepreneurs are. So let me tell you how they are. All of them are like, I'm so excited, I'm going to work on my business, I've been dreaming about this, now I'm going to do it. Well, okay, great, sounds great, fantastic, I'm all for it. And then they come back and they're like, well, I haven't done anything. Well, why not, you know? And I have this joke, I'm like, well, have you been watching TV? And they say, yeah. Have you been going out? Yeah. Have you been working? Well, not getting around to it. I mean, whatever, they have like basic excuses. Even though I say, have you been watching TV? And they say, yeah, I joke, like I expect them to work, and they actually just watching TV or whatever, you know. But you have to work really hard. I mean, and sometimes it's easy to get discouraged and kind of lose momentum, but you have to work really hard. Like when I started my business, I worked like a crazy person. Waking up, any free moment of the day that I had was devoted to my business. Of course, you have to spend time on your health and the people around you that you love, but like all the other time, really have to work. And people don't necessarily quite get that. And so let me tell you how to get there. Okay. So research shows that the way people generally succeed at whatever they want to do is if they make the working on that a habit. So for example, you know, if you wake up, if it's your habit to turn on the TV, that's your habit. But if your habit is to go right to the computer and, you know, answer emails, do a little, maybe wake up early, do some work, then that's your habit, right? Which one do you think is going to help you succeed? Of course, it's the one where you work, right? So the way that you get there, the way that you succeed in this, is you have to start to build habits, right? If you don't have a habit of working all the time, so you gotta kind of set up your environment, your life, to get this habit going, right? If your desk isn't comfortable, if it's not so accessible, move it, right? If you're coming home and you're just going to the fridge and the TV, I hate to say it, but you gotta get rid of the TV. At least unplug it, put it far away, somehow, right? But you gotta break those habits. And what happens is, you know, 3 to 7 times, 3 to 7 days, or I think 14 days possibly, I forget the number, but just do that habit, do that task that you want to do, and then it will begin to, your behavior will change. It will be, the new thing will become more natural. And the old habit will start to leave. It won't be as natural. So just make yourself do this as a habit and kind of start little by little, but do it for consecutive days, and you'll notice that the new behavior is becoming a habit. And you've got to make the new behavior working in your business. That simple, right? And then once the working in your business is an actual habit, then that's great, because you're optimizing your time. All your free time will go into your habit of working in your business. Now, there are actually two kinds of entrepreneurs. There are the entrepreneurs that they want to build big companies, right? So maybe if you want to build, like, I don't know, some kind of a big software company, right? You need a team, you need an accountant, well, not just an accountant, you need the engineering department, you need marketing department, everything, right? You need a lot of people. You want to build a big product, things like that. That's one form of kind of entrepreneurship. Another kind of common type of entrepreneur is a solo entrepreneur, right? So let's say you have like a home-based business, a blog, right? Very simple. All you have to do is write the blog, promote the blog, and your business becomes successful if you get enough people coming and reading your blog so that your monetization strategies can pay enough for your life. So that's sort of, I think it's, you know, the general term for that is lifestyle entrepreneur. You can still make a lot of money like this, right? If you can get millions of people to read your blog, I mean, you can be a very rich person doing this. So it's really up to you. I mean, the sky is the limit. But this is not the kind of business that gets funded by investors, right? The kind of business that gets funded by investors are like things that can become really big businesses, and you know, things like that have bigger potential. So those are the two kind of entrepreneurs. Well, there's different kinds of entrepreneurs because, you know, depending on what I mean by kind of entrepreneur. You know, there's social entrepreneurs, but really, in this video, I'm really just talking about solo entrepreneurs who work on lifestyle business, right, just to support themselves, and entrepreneurs who, you know, start a company, who need to build a team, need to build a product or a service, or, you know, something bigger, and a lot more goes into that business, and there's bigger potential. So those are the trade-offs. Those are the things to consider. You know, what kind of entrepreneur are you? What do you actually want as the outcome? Do you just want a comfortable life? Do you want like all the glory of having a big company? Do you want to be a CEO of a big company one day? Or do you just want to have a comfortable living with no boss and not having to come to an office and just relax and hang out and drink tea all day or whatever you do, right? So that's something to consider as well, like what kind of an entrepreneur are you? Now, I'll tell you how to succeed. I'll tell you right now. And this actually comes from the theory of what makes a person smart or genius, right? And, you know, of course, the very common example of a genius is Einstein. But Einstein wasn't always a genius. He wasn't the best of students. He, you know, a big part of his career, he wasn't the best, right? And people told him, you're so smart at the end, and, you know, towards the end of his career, of course, people thought he was a genius. And they told him, you're so smart, and he actually said, no, you know, I'm not that smart. There's people who are smarter, wittier, everything, you know, more clever, quicker. But I stay with the problem the longest. And this goes back to hard work, right? You know, it goes back to being creative. Eventually, if you hack away, work on it, you'll stay with the problem for so long that you'll have these aha moments and breakthroughs, and you'll get, but that will really actually just come from thinking about, you know, how do you do this, how do you get around this problem, that problem, right? This consistent problem solving. If you do it consistently all the time, you will have this great aha moment of this fantastic strategy that will get your company to succeed, right? So that's actually how a lot of the geniuses are, right? They just stay with the problem the longest. They're not necessarily the smartest, but they are, you know, the hardest working. I want to talk a little bit about who you should surround with, like your team, right? When you start, maybe you don't have money to pay a full-time employee. So what do? You have two options. Well, I guess you have three options, because you can be born with a trust fund and you can just have all the money you want, right? But let's say your funds are limited. Two options. You can hire part-time virtual assistants who will just take care of a lot of the little things for you. You know, maybe just save you time, right? So you can be more productive. Or you can work with, you know, try to find co-founders. Again, if you're trying to build like a blog, you can't get a co-founder for that. Or if you're trying to build like a home-based business, it's very hard to get a co-founder for that unless it's like your spouse or something. But it's also questionable of whether you should be working in a business with your spouse, because maybe people don't always like to mix business and personal relationships. Anyway, you know, for home-based businesses or for these lifestyle types of businesses, you don't always have a chance to have a co-founder. But if you're building a big business one day, or if you're, you know, working on a complicated product or something like that, you should probably get a co-founder, because things are going to be much easier if there's two people working on things. And best is if the co-founders have complementary skill sets. So one is a maybe engineer, one is a marketing person, right? Because if you have two engineers, they don't know how to promote the thing. If you have two marketers, there's nobody to make the product, right? So balance. And then of course, what really helps is if the people that you partner with, if you need to partner, are ones, like I mentioned earlier, that you can trust. That's always a must. No trust, probably you should never work with them. That's basics. But if you trust them, you always should, there's this other nuance, that you should not rush into partnering with people, random people, right? You should only partner with people with whom you have successfully worked with in the past. This can mean giving people a small test project to see if you guys do well, okay, before jumping into something bigger with them. Because people will also really surprise you, and you may surprise people because your work ethics might be different. You might be expecting more, they might be expecting less, or vice versa, or whatever. But you'll have to kind of, I guess, not jump into anything rash, right? You have to really know who you're jumping into with, because if you get a business partner and they're bad, or they're not helpful, or they're detrimental to the business somehow, and you only find this out after working with them, then it can really derail the business. So you really have to kind of work with people with whom you've worked before, or at least, like I mentioned, have these small test projects to see if you guys work well together before you join in on something bigger. And just a note, if you need to hire virtual assistants, there are really good ones, and I'll give you 3 sites. I'm sure you maybe are familiar with them, but I'll give them to you anyway. Odesk.com, Fiverr.com, that's Fiverr.com, and elance.com. Okay. Those 3 sites have really good virtual assistants that you can hire, and if you keep them long term, I mean, they'll really help you be more productive and squeeze the most out of your day. I want to talk about the power of imagination and daydreaming, because sometimes, do you ever catch yourself like daydreaming? I do it all the time, and actually when I was younger I used to do it way more. I used to daydream about how things were going to be so cool when I was going to become successful, and how maybe I'll donate to charity, and how I'll do this great thing, and how maybe I'll help the poor, and I'll help animals, and whatever, I'll help the environment because I'll have all this money and I'll be able to do things, I'll help my family, whatever the daydreaming, right? And it's like, then you wake up and you're like, oh, I'm still just starting. Does that ever happen to you guys? I think it happens to a lot of people. It certainly happens to me, or used to happen to me more. And it's really like interesting because it's really motivating, right? Because and it really helps you picture yourself successful, right? And it actually kind of helps you get there, right? Because once you have a vision towards which you're going, it's easier to connect the dots of how you'll get there. So actually, it's something that is kind of fun. It's not necessarily like a business thing, but certainly everybody daydreams, right? About what they want out of life, like what they want out of their business, stuff like that. So kind of notice what you're dreaming about, and maybe help that to serve you to kind of as a motivator, maybe a little bit for your business, and maybe not just a motivator, maybe like something a little bit more, you're actually visualizing it so you can get there. I want to talk a little bit about why businesses fail, why entrepreneurs fail. I'll tell you why I failed in the past. I failed because I had chosen a bad team, and I managed them in a way that there was no way we were going to, with the resources we were putting into the project, there was no way we were going to have any kind of successful outcome. I mean, it became easy to see that in hindsight, but so it's a team. The team you build is really, really important. It's got to be a really dedicated team. If it's not dedicated, it's going to fall apart, because it's going to take you a long time to get to success. And if someone's not dedicated, if somebody's like, oh, I'll try this for a couple of weeks, I'll try this for a month, no, it's going to take way longer than that. Anyway, so the team. Another thing that's going to get you to fail is of course, lack of hard work. I'm going to assume that you're going to work really hard, okay? Because, I mean, if you don't, you're just not an entrepreneur, right? You're kind of maybe a creative person, you maybe have ideas, I don't know. But I think part of the definition of being an entrepreneur is a person who has ideas, but also works to pursue those ideas, right? Passionately works to pursue those ideas and works hard, passionately and hard. So that hard work, you've got to have it. So if you're not working hard at something, not an entrepreneur, business has far less chance to succeed. So another reason, so that's really why people fail, is they just don't work hard enough, right? They say all the right things. I'm passionate, I want to, this is my dream, and then they don't do anything. So people like that, and to share with you my own experience, like, because I'm really growing this business that helps entrepreneurs, and this is the most heartbreaking thing for me, is that I see that people really want to. They like, when I talk to them, they tell me how much they have this dream, how much they need it, but they just don't do the work. And there's nothing I can do, right? I can tell them everything I want about building habits, about working hard, but if they don't work hard, if they don't do the work, what can I do, So sometimes when they don't do it, it's the most heartbreaking thing for me, because I can't help them. I want to, I can give them all the advice in the world, but I can't help them. So one of the major reasons people end up failing is that just lack of hard work, right? Another reason businesses tend to fail is lack of experience in the industry. So my earlier businesses, probably they would have been way better off if I had maybe had more experience in the industries in which they were in, or have had at least great advisors. That's one thing I myself lacked, is great advisors. And you can certainly try to get advisors. If you can't get good advisors, network with your business peers. That's going to go a long way, because they might be your peers, but even if they're 6 or 12 months ahead of you, they know a lot more than you. If you don't have a lot of experience in the industry, and they can just, with a couple of pieces of advice, they'll be able to really help you. So network with your peers, get good mentors and advisors if you can. Sometimes it's a good thing to hire a coach. I'm actually sometimes, I actually sometimes help people as a coach, so I'm available for this hire if you're interested. But anyway, I digress. Certainly, someone on your team, advisor, coach, your business partner, needs to have deep industry knowledge. Another reason businesses fail, and this is too often, sadly, is that the entrepreneurs just end up not getting along well with each other. And they kind of like, one of them quits, and there's no business maybe without the other one, right? So it's like, maybe, if it's an engineer and a product person, and a marketing person, well, if the engineer quits, what's left out of that business, right? So you've got, like I already mentioned it a number of times, but you really got to make sure that the team has worked together before, and the team can create successful projects. That's huge, because if you have a bad co-founder, it can really kill things. So those are the kind of things that there are many things that make businesses fail, right? I mean, lack of customers, right? You gotta also, someone in your team needs to learn or already be good at promoting and selling. That's a must, right? Because no sales, no marketing, no money, no revenue. And no revenue, no company, right? So that's just an example, but there are many things that can help you, that can get you to fail. I mentioned some of them, the most common ones. But there are many. What's really going to help you is get good mentors or people who have a lot of experience. They're going to be able to steer you away from the many possible pitfalls and towards a more correct kind of path.